do you go from lying in a bed with half your body not working to living and working overseas, speaking multiple languages and advocating for brain injury survivors? I'm Kiley Como, legal nurse consultant here at Shane Smith Law, and you're listening to Mind Matters, Navigating Head Injuries and Concussions, where we connect real stories of traumatic brain injury with the medical and legal realities behind it. In this episode, we're continuing our conversation with TBI survivor, speaker, and author Chris Dittrich. After a severe brain injury in 2008, Chris didn't just learn to walk again, he went on to graduate college, live and work abroad, and build a platform called Keep Moving Forward to inspire and guide others. We're going to talk about long-term recovery, identity, work, and travel, and what it really means to rebuild a full life after TBI. Chris, it's great to have you back on the show today.
Thank you again for the kind introduction.
You are quite welcome.
Ready for action.
Me too. Audience, if you didn't catch episode 1 yet, I will highly encourage you to go back, listen to that. It really sets the stage for what we're going to talk about today. It was very encouraging and inspiring, so please give that a listen. Chris, at the end of our last episode, we were kind of talking about those early days of recovery. When we think about that long game of TBI, we're past the early days. What did those next few years look like? You talk about high school, graduation, college, figuring out what was possible.
I brought up at the, my senior, that first big goal of going to my senior prom. Then the next goal was to be able to walk across the stage for my high school graduation. And I don't know if you've seen the video of that or not. It's circulating online. My dad holding me up by one arm, me limping across the stage with a 4-prong walking cane. And again, accomplishing that goal, not very well, but being able to set the stage for the whole future. I took that next year off in order to, my friends all went off to college because I was supposed to go to Miami already, with the goal, I've got to get to Miami, whatever it takes. And I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I don't want to be walking with a cane. I want to be just like all the other students. So that was the next big goal. And not perfectly, certainly, but I accomplished that goal. Looking back now, I can go back to that freshman year. I was not in good shape at all. My parents, we can laugh about it. It's borderline child abuse that they sent me off to school. And again, it was because that was what had to happen. I had to go. I had set the goal. I had to continue to accomplish the goal. It would have been not devastating, but it would have been very bad in my mind if I was not able to go to college that semester, the fall semester of 2009. So again, that set the stage. I made it to Miami, and that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep working hard to accomplish whatever goal I have to. And those first couple of years were very challenging. I lived on campus for the first 2 years, and it was freshman year especially because I didn't have my car down there and I had to walk, and it was very humid in Miami. Really, really, really hard. The campus isn't even that big, but even just getting around campus was not an easy feat at all, but I did it. I finished it. I had an okay grade point average, certainly not as high as I would have had I not suffered my brain injury, but I did okay. I had made it through that first year. The second year I stayed on campus, but I had a car, so that made it way easier to get from place to place around campus and stuff, and I started to really enjoy life there. The summer of my in between sophomore and junior year, I went to Beijing on a study abroad trip.
Oh, wow.
Again, another goal that I had set, to be able to go there and to be able to do it with all the other students. And it was not easy at all. And I ended up, in the middle of the trip, I ended up dropping the class and leaving. The rest of the students left me, and I stayed alone by myself in Beijing for the additional 2 weeks of the trip because I couldn't keep up with the class. It became kind of a running theme that I had these high expectations for myself, aspirational, if we could put it that way again, and I didn't necessarily reach them, or I overestimated my own abilities and struggled a little bit, but eventually got through it, and that continued through college and then into graduate school. I went to graduate school in Miami as well at FIU. I had studied finance in college, started working in a banking institution, and realized it wasn't a right fit for my brain anymore. I was way more open. I was way more friendly. I liked to learn languages and to speak to people. So I went the hotel management route. So the next goal, instead of starting a career, was go back to school, get my master's degree, and then hopefully end up working for a hotel somewhere else in the world. And again, it was a goal I had set, so it was a goal it was something I had to work to accomplish, and I did, thankfully. And it was Christmas Eve 2015 when I got the fateful email to invite me to work in Bangkok, at a hotel in Bangkok, a place I had never been before. But again, I had the experience of goals being set and traveling and studying abroad in different places. And I had worked already. I'm sorry, I'm going quickly just to move forward. But I had worked abroad during the summer in 2014. A few years after that original Beijing trip, which was terrible. But the second one that I did in Hong Kong when I was working was a big success.
Nice.
So I had experienced hardship in foreign countries, but I had come out ahead. I'd come out victorious. So I had no concern at all about going to live abroad in Bangkok, a place I had never been before. And, I had only known Bangkok from The Hangover and The Hangover 2 movies. And that's what most people think of when they think of Bangkok. Yeah. That's what they imagine. And the first couple years in Bangkok, I mean, looking back now, I can't believe that I got through it. But it's the running theme that, I'm here and I'm going to make the most of it, and been able to succeed.
Very inspiring. You laid it out, very detailed course from A to B, and it's up and down. I mean, it anchors well with what you talked about in that first episode of, when you're faced with a challenge, and you're faced with many with a TBI, but even just life, even without the TBI, relocating to a new area, going off to college for the first time, going abroad, taking a job in an industry you weren't necessarily trained for. I mean, those are huge challenges, and we have, as you said in the first episode, a decision. We can accept and go forward and accept that challenge, or we can shrink back, say no, and let the chips fall where they may.
Let me put it this way. I don't see myself as injured. How's that? I don't have a brain injury. Like, from the things that I've been able to accomplish in the past since 2008, since my injury, it's a shame for anyone to tell me that I have a disability. And that's the mindset that I have, and even if it's wrong, or even if it's crazy to think that, because obviously I'm not perfect. Obviously I do have things that make life a little bit more challenging for me than for other people, but I'm not disabled by any stretch of the imagination. And that's the mindset that I take into every possible experience in the future. I'm not thinking about, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that because of some limiting factor that I have with my body or with my brain. It's not even a thought. I'm just living the dream out here, and
there you go.
That's kind of the mindset that has taken me again. And I'm confident that from my past experiences, when I do suffer, when I do have challenges, you work to overcome them. You adapt and change, and you make a story out of it. It makes it into a funny story. You hope that it ends up being a funny story in your past, that you can tell your friends or tell your family about. I'm not disabled. I'm just like everybody else. I'm doing better than most people, and that's the way that I look at it, and it helps me. Yes.
I'd love for our audience to think about that for a moment and share in the comments below. Especially if you're living with a brain injury, or you've walked alongside someone who's dealing with that, who's recovering from a brain injury. What's one goal that you've accomplished that you weren't sure you'd be able to do right after you're injured? We'd love to celebrate that with you. Put that in the comments, please. Share that with us. Chris, at some point you you decided not just to live your life, but then you wanted to share that story, right? You've got a nice website, you're a public speaker, social media presence, we've talked about and mentioned your memoir, Keep Moving Forward. What made you say, okay, people need to hear this story?
It's been something that has been beating around in my head, for a long time about writing the book. I had the first opportunity back actually in 2018. I got invited from actually one of my old physical therapist trainers went on to live in Singapore, and he work at a business in Singapore, and he invited me to give a speech, to give kind of one of the closing speeches at one of their business conferences in Singapore. And immediately I said yes. I had never done that before. And looking back, it wasn't, I spoke a little bit fast because I was a little nervous, but it was a great experience and a great opportunity. And COVID happened, and I was stuck back home in Florida. I had to leave Bangkok for the time because both my parents, we weren't sure what was going to happen. And so I flew back quickly, and then I kind of got stuck at my dad's house in Florida. I had a nice house. I mean, I wasn't being stuck. It was in a country club, so it wasn't a bad life, but I was stuck. I couldn't leave. And so that's when I really kind of leaned into Instagram. I saw a lot of people, I saw there was a great brain injury community on Instagram in particular. And I owe a great deal of thanks and gratitude to the entire huge brain injury community, engaging community, because that's when I really started to share videos of me exercising every minute of every day. Especially when I was stuck in the US and I wasn't working. So I had nothing else to do but exercise all day and share those videos. And that's when the podcast opportunities started coming up and things like that. When I really, I owe a great deal of gratitude to all your audience and everybody listening, because this is really what I see. It's what I wish I had back in 2008 and 2009 and 2010 in my early days, especially 2008, when I didn't know what my opportunities were. I want to be that person who's going to go to those people who are just in their first year of recovery and say, hey, man, I made it. I'm making it. I'm living overseas. I have a beautiful wife, loving family over here in Thailand when I'm from, and I was in your position 18 years ago, man. You can do it too. I've been in China. I've been in Hong Kong. I've been all over Asia, all over everywhere, man. You can do this too. I didn't have that in 2008. There was no real place that I was kind of just going to go. I wasn't moving. I wasn't going towards any one position. I wasn't looking ahead to anyone in particular. Again, this was still early Facebook, no Instagram yet. So there was no real social media. So that's one of the problems. Yeah. But I want to be the person that I would have liked to have there in 2008, and finishing, actually my app is in the App Store, waiting to be in the App Store review. I have a Keep Moving Forward app that's got everything that I wish I had in 2008. It's got, which is what I'm really excited to introduce it for everyone who, not only for brain injury, just for who needs that little boost of help. It's got exercises, it's got journaling, it's got a community side of it too, so that it's like an accountability side. It's just a companion, the companion I didn't have. Again, I had my family, but I didn't have that person who had already overcome, who had been through the same situation as me, that had overcome it. I remember they would bring back some quote unquote success stories, but I could at least who they brought back, I could tell they weren't all there. You could tell they were injured still. That's not what I have in mind when I'm recovering. When I was deep in inpatient therapy, working my butt off to recover, it wasn't to get to that point. It was to get 100 times better than that point, and I didn't know who could do that or if I could do that, if it was possible. And it was scary. That's why I like to share everything that I've been able to accomplish and all the experiences that the life I've been able to live, that there is life after severe traumatic brain injury or severe head injury or any kind of injury, that you can still live an incredible life. You know, that there's no chance that I would have be living as fulfilled of a life if I had not suffered my injury. How's that?
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. You kind of had me thinking that earlier as you were talking. I think, you know, a lot of these, it's that mindset, right? How we choose to understand where we are, what this situation we're in is going to be for us. Is this going to be an opportunity, a stepping stone? Because it can be. You know, it may not be the life you would choose, but it's the life you have in front of you, and you still have a choice to make it what it is. And you've painted a powerful picture of possibility. You know, and I hope our audience is inspired by that. I'd like to have our audience, if, you know, Chris has talked a lot about, you know, inspiration and maybe role models or tools that weren't available early in his journey, but he's now found or he's becoming. Is there anything that you have found in your own journey, or if someone you've watched recover, have you seen anything that's helped? Any role models or stories that have helped along those journeys? Please share that in the comments. Those are so helpful to our listeners. Chris, I know we're getting close on time, but for survivors and families that are listening, and there are a lot of them, what are some practical things that they can do to keep moving forward in their own lives, whether that's, you know, like these mindset shifts we're talking about, or just daily habits, or how they advocate for themselves to their doctors or employers?
Well, again, I think that a big thing, if my injury was predominantly physical, if it's a physical injury, take video yourself today of the exercises you're doing today, stick with them, and then the goals, of course, setting goals helps with the bigger things, but it's just setting a system for yourself that you're going to do the same thing every day, knowing that you're getting better every day, but you don't always see it unless you take a video of it, or unless you have somebody who, you know, I used to like seeing people for the first time in a few weeks or a few months, because they would be astounded, and it would be so remarkable for them to be like, oh my gosh, Chris, you're doing so much better. And, you know, it's not something that I would see, or it's not something that us as injured people see every day, because we live with ourselves, but we're always getting better. And that's the mindset you have to kind of take. As long as you're in control, you are in control of your own body and your own brain. And as long as you're trying and doing something to focus on improving, just thinking positively, even if sometimes that's all it takes is thinking positively, that's helping your brain recover, and it's going to make you better.
Yes. And
it should, I hope that people listening, that it's an empowering thing, because that's you're in control, and that's a very nice thing to hear. I want to make sure everyone knows that though I say I'm not disabled, I don't want people to think that I don't have any. I still walk with a little bit of a limp, and my right arm is weaker, so I don't want people to think that, oh, he's doing totally okay now. No, I definitely am still injured, but I'm up at 6 o'clock every morning at the gym, doing the same thing every day. I'm practicing what I'm trying to preach, that I built a system that every morning is the same for me. I'm working out on the elliptical. I know that that's what's best for me, because it's helped my legs best. Yes. And so every day I'm still getting better. I don't see it every day, but I know in my mind and in my heart, I'm continuing to improve.
Chris, I appreciate you not sugarcoating things, because that's that important point you make, is that no one is minimizing these types of injuries. They're serious. They're very limiting for time, but there is still progress before you that you can choose to step into. So thank you for that, Chris. Lastly, I think we would really like for you to be able to share with our audience where people might be able to find you, whether it's online, to learn more about your work, more about you, or maybe even get a copy of your book if they want to dive into that keep moving forward story.
Yeah, perfect. So my Instagram is what I've I lost my old Instagram, had some issues, but CD_ worldwide 130 is what I'm on most of the time. But then my website, which I hope you'll share with people, is keepmovingforward-cd.com. That's where you can get my book. You can also find it on Amazon, but it's better if you, and we're shipping right out of Florida. So you can order my book right on my website, and I hope you do. And then again, the next big thing is coming hopefully by next week. Hopefully our call right now, because it's in the App Store submission. Trying to get an app into the App Store is a very frustrating thing that I didn't know. I never done it before, but they nickel and dime. They're like, oh, this is not good. They don't, but that's another thing. But hopefully our call now is going to be the good luck charm that gets it over the hump and gets it available in the App Store. That I believe that will be a huge help to several people. That and then we're going to hopefully build a nice community on there and get everyone moving forward and getting everyone living life to its fullest, because there is life after brain injury, after any kind of injury.
What a great way to wrap it. Yes, Chris, and we'll be watching the App Store for Keep Moving Forward. Maybe we can connect somewhere down the road after that's launched and talk about that. So, Chris, thank you so much for your story, for your time. That's going to wrap this episode of Mind Matters, Navigating Head Injuries and Concussions. Again, just a huge thank you to Chris Dittrich for really showing us what life looks like. Not just surviving, but studying and working, traveling, turning pain into purpose, right? His keep moving message is so powerful. It's a reminder that recovery, it's a journey. It's not a finish line, okay? So you just got to keep moving. And if today's conversation, sparked hope, maybe, brought some questions to your mind or gave you some ideas, we'd love to hear that in the comments section, please. Your stories and your feedback, help us build community, as Chris was talking about, helps our support survivors, families, and then professionals alike. Please subscribe to our channel, give a like to this episode, and share it with someone who needs to have that meaningful life after brain injury, and know that that's possible. And as always, remember, if you're in pain,
be aspirational.
Believe
you can do it.
Share it, right? Don't just keep this in. Share it, please. If you're in pain, call Shane. You know it. 980-999-9999. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we're going to see you next time on the next episode of Mind Matters.
In pain, so I call Shane. 980-999-9999. In pain, call Shane.